Our sponsor, Ekster Wallets, is currently having its anniversary sale, offering 30% off everything site-wide. But with my custom link and discount code, you can get an extra 10% off for up to 40% off everything site-wide. With other slim wallets, in order to get the cards out, you have to take out all the cards, select the card you want, and put it back in. Not with Ekster Wallets. I do not know how they do it. The cards don't fall out. The other thing I love about the Ekster wallet is this tracker card that they offer. I like to keep it right there in the cash strap. Thin as a credit card, allows you to find your wallet anytime, anywhere using the Find My app on your iPhone. I keep the cards I use most often in here, but if you have others you want to carry with you, you've got extra space here. You've got extra space here. I absolutely love it. This is their Parliament model and my favorite color, classic brown, but check out the website. They've got tons of different designs, tons of different colors. And remember, use my custom link and my discount code SPTV to get up to 40% off. Hello, everyone. Welcome back for more SPTV, where every day is a great day not to be in a cult. Oh my God, we got to talk about what happened in Portage, Michigan. I have a pretty interesting take on this. Portage, Michigan came under fire this week when it seemed to issue a proclamation celebrating the 75th anniversary of the publication of the book Dianetics, The Modern Science of Mental Health, which was the book L. Ron Hubbard wrote that was essentially what started Scientology and became Scientology. And there was a lot of criticism, a lot of outrage. The local media covered this. But the story is a little more interesting than that, because Scientology was not trying to get the city of Portage to recognize the 75th anniversary of the publication of Dianetics. They were trying to get the city of Portage to declare March 13th L. Ron Hubbard Day. And the city of Portage basically said, get out of here with that nonsense. And I want to show you how this went down, because what ended up happening is the city of Portage acknowledged March 13th as the 75th anniversary of the publication of Dianetics. There's just one problem with that. March 13th is not the 75th anniversary of the publication of Dianetics. And the absolute geniuses over there at the Scientology organization in Battle Creek, Michigan, totally dropped the ball on this. And this is a huge embarrassment. This is a huge embarrassment. So anyway, I'm going to show you how this happened. Okay. And then we're going to talk about my good old friend, Jeff Breedlove, over there at the Scientology organization in Battle Creek, Michigan. By the way, first of all, can we talk about, if the Scientology organization is in Battle Creek, why didn't they try to get this proclamation passed in Battle Creek? Why did they go over to Portage? Portage is about 20 miles away. It's a small city, pretty much the exact same size as Battle Creek. Why didn't they do it in their own backyard? Why did they try to do it in the next door neighbor's backyard? I don't know, guys. Maybe you guys have some thoughts on that. Okay, so check it out. Let me show you. This is the local newspaper published the version of the proclamation that Scientology originally tried to get passed. And I'll just read it for you real quick. But you'll notice here's where they screwed it up right from the beginning. Okay, City of Portage Proclamation, 75th anniversary, Dianetics, the Modern Science of Mental Health. Right off the bat, they screwed it up. Okay, because what it really should say is proclamation. March 13th is declared L. Ron Hubbard Day. And then in the body of the proclamation, they say whereas and whereas and whereas and whereas. And one of the whereases should have been, whereas it is the 75th anniversary. This year is the 75th anniversary of the publication of Dianetics. This is what led to the confusion, because this makes it look like the entire purpose of the proclamation is to recognize or acknowledge or declare the 75th anniversary of the publication of Dianetics. But then when we jump all the way down to the bottom of the proclamation, now remember, guys, Scientology writes the proclamation. They submit it to the city and they hope the mayor, the council and the mayor approve it. But look at the last paragraph. What did they want the resolution to be? It says, now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Patricia M. Randall, as mayor of the city of Portage, do hereby proclaim March 13th, 2025 as L. Ron Hubbard Day. If that is what you are looking to have them proclaim, then the title of your proclamation should not say 75th anniversary Dianetics the modern science of mental health. Okay. Now, one of the things that was mentioned in the local newspaper is that what was actually approved, the language that was approved was not only different than what Scientology had submitted, but it was also different than what Scientology's representative, Jeff Breedlove, read aloud at the podium at the meeting. But I have to tell you, in comparing this proclamation that Scientology originally submitted to what Jeff Breedlove read at the podium, the only difference I see is that he left out the first paragraph. Now, the first paragraph is the one that really blows a lot of smoke up L. Ron Hubbard's butt. Let's just read what Scientology originally submitted here. Okay, 75th anniversary, Dianetics, the modern science of mental health. Whereas science of the mind is a goal that has engrossed countless generations of men. From the most ancient times to the present, humanity has found itself in a state of helplessness when confronted with strange behaviors, illnesses, and human aberrations. What L. Ron Hubbard accomplished with this book was the realization of that long-sought goal. And whereas in May 1950, American author and humanitarian L. Ron Hubbard made available in Dianetics, the modern science of mental health, the technology to alleviate unhappiness and psychosomatic illnesses and create personal freedom. And whereas this landmark work continues to relieve mental and spiritual suffering, overcome physical hardships, help individuals gain greater personal independence, and restore honesty and trust to relationships. And whereas L. Ron Hubbard wrote, I like to help others and count it as my greatest pleasure in life to see a person free himself from the shadows which darken his day. And whereas the world today is in great need of the values, ideas, and solutions of L. Ron Hubbard's Dianetics technology, which is our legacy and heritage, now therefore be it resolved that March 13th, 2025 is L. Ron Hubbard Day. Once again, I reiterate, it is a confusing proclamation. It is not, its messaging is not consistent. It is not very clear. Okay. So, so then let's take a quick look at the newspaper article that discussed some of this. Why a proclamation for Scientology founder's book was read in Portage. Okay, we're going to, there's some video here, but we're going to look at that in a moment. So it says, the city of Portage has explained its process for public proclamations at city council meetings after one received more attention than usual. The proclamation signed Tuesday recognized the 75th anniversary of the publishing of L. Ron Hubbard's book, Dianetics. Hubbard founded the Church of Scientology, and Dianetics is one of the principles included in the belief system. Oh yeah, I got to put a note here before I forget. Dianetics, religious text or not. Okay. Good. Okay. And let's see. Okay, this is what I want to read. What happened in the current case is we received the request to present a very specific proclamation. We placed it on the agenda, which is a common placeholder, just to get it on there. After reading it, we decided it was a little overly committed to this particular philosophy or school of thought, so we backed off. Comparing the text of the original draft to the published proclamation, the first version is more effusive in its praise of Hubbard. And this is where I pulled the original proclamation. By the way, guys, I have not been able to find an actual text of the final approved published proclamation. If anybody does put their hands on it, please send it to me at growingupinscientology@gmail.com. McGinnis also clarified that the recital portions that were read by the local stakeholder, that's Jeff Breedlove of Scientology, are not technically part of the mayor's proclamation. That is why I want to see what the actual approved final proclamation that the city issued is. Because if they literally put into writing that the city of Portage, Michigan, hereby does acknowledge March 13th, 2025 as the 75th anniversary of the publication of Dianetics, that is such a huge blunder by Scientology and its Office of Special Affairs. Okay, so what I want to do now is have a little bit of fun and show you the very short portions of the meeting of Portage, Michigan council meeting where this all went down. And we're going to see our good old friend, Jeff Breedlove.
Proclamation this evening.
I already hit. I did not want to hit share on that quite yet. And why can't I hear the audio?
Celebrating the 75th
or
acknowledging the 75th anniversary of Dianetics. Hold
on. Oh my God, I can't hear the audio.
Good evening.
What are we going to do?
Order the March 11th, 2020.
Oh my God. You can hear it, Natalie? Oh my goodness. Hold on. You can hear the audio on the meeting? Okay, bear with me, guys. Hmm.
25 Portage City Council meeting in honor of all denominations and personal beliefs. And as we welcome
Yeah,
the
this is
spring
not good.
weather, may we celebrate all
I
that
cannot
unites us.
hear it.
Please rise for a moment of
Hold
personal
on.
introspection and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
You guys can hear it. I'm terribly confused. Oh, oh man. Hold on, guys. Oh, okay. I see what happened. I see what happened.
At this time, I would like to call scouts from
No,
Troop
I honestly don't know if I can
244,
continue the
Pathfinder
video like
Church.
this.
Please come forward.
Give me a sec,
and lead
guys.
us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under
All right, cool.
God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Natalie, can you hear my audio right now? Okay, good. I figured it out. All right, here we go. We are going to cue it up to 219. All right, check it out.
Here, thank you. All right, we do have a proclamation this evening, and it is celebrating the 75th or acknowledging the 75th anniversary of Dianetics. And I would like to call Mr. Jeff Breedlove, Director of External Affairs and representative of the Friends of L. Ron Hubbard Foundation, to please come forward and read the proclamation. Good evening. And
Good. I want to point out to you guys, I double checked this. First of all, as someone who spent a lot of years in Scientology, I have literally never heard of the L. Ron Hubbard Foundation. I went to the website GuideStar, which is the basically the aggregator website for all US-based nonprofit organizations. There is absolutely no foundation called the L. Ron Hubbard Foundation. If you Google L. Ron Hubbard Foundation, it takes you to lronhubbard.org. Nowhere on that entire website does it mention something called the L. Ron Hubbard Foundation. Do you see how even, and by the way, I was speculating as to what Jeff Breedlove's post was at the Battle Creek org. He's being introduced as the Director of External Affairs. That's a post in the Office of Special Affairs. Okay. And so Scientology's own legal and media department is trying to distance itself from Scientology. It creates a fictional organization called the L. Ron Hubbard Foundation. Let's see what Jeff Breedlove has to say.
and welcome.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and council members. City of Portage Proclamation, 75th Anniversary, Dianetics, the Modern Science of Mental Health. Whereas in 1950, American author and humanitarian L. Ron Hubbard published Dianetics, the Modern Science of Mental Health, about a technology to alleviate unhappiness and psychosomatic illnesses and create personal freedom. And whereas this landmark work continues to relieve mental and spiritual suffering, overcome physical hardships, help individuals gain greater personal independence, and restore honesty and trust to relationships. And whereas L. Ron Hubbard wrote, I like to help others and count it as my greatest pleasure in life to see a person free himself of the shadows which darken his day. And whereas the world today is in great need of ideas and solutions.
Now, therefore, we resolve that I, Patricia M. Randall, as mayor of the city of Portage, do hereby recognize March 13th, 2025 as the 75th anniversary of the publication of this work.
Thank you very much.
Okay, one more time on this. Here we go.
Mark work continues to relieve mental and spiritual suffering, overcome physical hardships, help individuals gain greater personal independence, and restore honesty and trust to relationships. And whereas L. Ron Hubbard wrote, I like to help others and count it as my greatest pleasure in life to see a person free himself of the shadows which darken his day. And whereas the world today is in great need of ideas and solutions.
Now therefore be resolved that I, Patricia M. Randall, as mayor of the city of Portage, do hereby recognize March 13th, 2025 as the 75th anniversary of the publication of this work.
Thank you.
She has the wrong date. And this is what makes me wonder if she tricked them at the last minute. There is no way a member of the Office of Special Affairs showed up to that meeting knowing and being willing to accept the fact that they were going to declare March 13th, L. Ron Hubbard's birthday, as the 75th anniversary of the publication of Dianetics, which is actually on May 9th. And again, look, guys, what they wanted her to say, one more time, at the very bottom here, what they wanted her to say was, I do hereby proclaim March 13th, 2025 as L. Ron Hubbard Day, not as the 75th anniversary of the publication of Dianetics. Okay. Now, Natalie showed this on her channel before, but you guys have to see it here if you haven't seen it already. Check out some of the public comments, the people who got up after Jeff Breedlove spoke to formally object with some amazing arguments being made as to the city doing anything to acknowledge a book that is pure pseudoscience, like Dianetics, the modern science of mental health. Okay, so 4 minutes, 17 seconds. It's so hard to navigate this little time scrubber thing. 4:17. Here we go. And we'll go this view. All right, here we go.
Hi, my name is Jordan Horn. I'm a master's level psychologist in the Portage, Kalamazoo area. I've published scientific studies regarding mental health, and I'm a part-time instructor of psychology at KVCC. I oppose the city's proclamation of recognizing L. Ron Hubbard's book, Dianetics, the Modern Science of Mental Health, because the city government is giving credence to a clearly pseudoscientific book. We should care about pseudoscientific ideas because they provide opportunity cost, whereas people may think that the government is kind of endorsing this book, and people then may choose to read this book instead of seeking adequate mental health treatment. And pseudoscientific ideas clearly cloud our critical thinking abilities. Endorsement of a pseudoscientific book creates further distrust in government at a very vulnerable time. The ideas of L. Ron Hubbard, in his original book in 1950, he says that Dianetics can, quote, treat any and all inorganic, mental, and organic psychosomatic ills with assurance of complete cure in unselected cases. According to Amazon's website of the 2007 version, they describe Dianetics as a new science. The fact is, they go on to say that there is a single source of problems and suffering. These are clear signs of pseudoscience. There is no single cause of mental health concerns nor depression. The psychological science is clear that it is a multifaceted problem. We should also be thinking about using scientific reasoning skills and being aware of other indicators of pseudoscience. For example, making an exaggerated claim requires extraordinary evidence. If you're making a claim that human suffering is the result of a single phenomena, which Hubbard elaborates in his book, he needs extraordinary evidence to overcome that from what we know about psychological science. So my primary concern is that we're endorsing a book that is pseudoscience. It's not a religious book. The name science is clearly in the title, so the Scientologists should not be able to hide under religious freedom to say what they want. If people would like to seek adequate mental health treatment, they can visit the American Psychological Association's Division 12, Society of Clinical Psychology, where scientifically based treatments are provided and listed. Same thing for Division 53, the Society of Clinical Child and Adolescent Psychology, where scientific based treatments for mental health are provided and listed. So therefore, I oppose, and I hope that the city will reconsider, and that we need to be thinking and endorsing scientifically based practices, especially regarding mental health, especially at this time in our country when we have so much suffering going on. Thank you.
Absolutely
You're
incredible.
welcome.
Oh, is this next guy? Well, my next clip is 10:04. So I'm assuming this next. Wait, is this next guy going to speak? He does speak. Okay, check this out.
Good evening. My name is Richard Hewitt. My wife and I reside at 2732 Caloraman Avenue here in the city of Portage. We'd like to address a proclamation recognizing the 75th anniversary of L. Ron Hubbard's book, Dianetics. We're very disappointed that this proclamation has been passed. We recognize and appreciate the long history that the city of Portage has in recognizing various groups, organizations by proclamations. We hope that long tradition stands. However, we take exception to this proclamation. Recognizing Dianetics lends credibility and support to Scientology. I'm a former licensed counselor. My bachelor's degrees in sociology and social work. My master's degrees in counseling and psychology. I'm no longer licensed, but we consider Dianetics a threat to community mental health. We stand in full agreement with our friend Jordan, and we would like to stand in opposition to this proclamation. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening. My name is Cheryl. I'd rather that the Scientologist not have my last name, so I'll leave that out. I found out about this proclamation just about 3 hours ago by accident. I spent 2 hours walking around my neighborhood, telling my neighbors about it. They were all saying, why did we not know about this ahead of time? It flew under the radar, probably so that we wouldn't know about it. Shame on every single one of you who participated in this. I would like you to publish a list of every single one of your names and how you voted, whether or not you voted in favor of this, because the residents of Portage have a right to know. My understanding of this book is that it denies the existence of mental illness. This is an insult to everybody who has a friend or a family member who has mental illness. I've known many people over my lifetime who have mental illness, and they deserve better than this. My understanding is that there have been many mental health counselors and many medical professionals who have criticized and debunked this book. And I agree with the man who said that this leads credibility to Scientology. There's supposed to be a separation of church and state, and Scientology really is not even a religious, it's a religious cult. Shame on you that you participated in this. I would really like a list of how each and every one of you voted. And I have many neighbors who told me that they want to see that list as well. When we vote, we want to know how you're voting, because it sounds like you're not voting in the way we want you to vote. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow.
Still an opportunity for statement of citizens if anyone would like to come forward.
Okay, and then Jeff Breedlove comes back up and says how Dianetics
Good
saved
evening,
his life.
welcome.
Thank you again, Madam Mayor and council members. I just want to briefly go over my story with you, which is back about 30 years ago. I was studying.
This guy has the charisma of dry paint. This is the director of external affairs. This is the guy Scientology's like, this is the best we've got. Just send him out there. Just let him do what he does. You know, we don't, you know, just, we got no one else.
Studying at Western Michigan University, and I was doing okay academically, but I didn't have any purpose in life. I was trying to figure things out in life and looking for answers, and I saw a Dianetics commercial on TV. So I went down here to Portage, to the Barnes & Noble. I walked in, and there was a big display of Dianetics books. I read it, and then I had hope. I didn't have that before, but I had some hope for life and a better life. And since then, I feel like I've improved my life. It's fulfilling, it's meaningful, and I owe it to Dianetics. So I really recommend people find out for themselves what that book is about. 25 million copies have been sold worldwide. I know hundreds of people that have benefited from it. And I really...
Hundreds? I thought there was 15 million Scientologists in the world. You just said they sold 25 million books. You only know hundreds? I think you just accidentally admitted that in your entire history of being in Scientology in Battle Creek, Michigan, you have never known more than hundreds of Scientologists in the 30 years that you have been there. Cumulatively, of all the Scientologists you've ever known in Battle Creek, Michigan, it's been hundreds. I think he just accidentally told the truth there, actually.
I really want to say my appreciation for the city of Portage and the council members for their diversity and willing to recognize different ideas and different groups. So thank you. Thank you very much. It means a lot to me.
Okay, good. And then actually the city attorney then opines to basically be like, don't worry, everybody. These proclamations don't even mean anything. Let's see what she says.
Still an opportunity for statement of citizens if anyone would like to come forward. Seeing no one come forward, I will ask if there are any callers on the line.
There are no callers.
All right, we normally don't do back and forth question and answer during this time, but I would like our city attorney, Ms. Catherine Kaufman, to make a statement about proclamations in the city of Portage.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As I understand it, there is a process for people to request proclamations that is run through both the mayor and the city administration. They are reviewed. They are viewpoint and content, no content. They're content neutral, and there's no viewpoint discrimination. So any group that wants to ask for a proclamation, that would be considered. And in this particular case, it was handled. It was not content-based in terms of the message, and it was a viewpoint neutral decision to bring the proclamation forward tonight.
All right, thank you very much.
That's all she says. And I got to be honest, I'm not even sure what that means. Content neutral. I guess that means it doesn't mean we are pro or against the content, which sort of implies you can put anything you want into the content, which to me indicates that the proclamations are themselves completely meaningless. And yet the fact that the process even exists, it sort of implies they're not meaningless or they wouldn't exist. Like, I guess maybe it's just understood that groups and organizations use these proclamations for propaganda. I mean, that's certainly all that Scientology ever uses it for. The timing of this thing is not a coincidence. Every year for L. Ron Hubbard's anniversary of his birthday celebration, March 13th, Scientology puts on a major international event hosted by David Miscavige. Every Scientology organization in the world plays this event to all of their members. And one of the things that they highlight at these events are all the special acknowledgments and recognitions and awards and proclamations that have been bestowed upon L. Ron Hubbard by cities and counties and states and countries and agencies and organizations. And it's a major, major propaganda tool. When I was in Scientology, seeing L. Ron Hubbard being bestowed all of these awards and proclamations and recognitions by various governments definitely caused me to believe that we were slowly taking over the world, So, yeah, that's also why I found it interesting that they went over to Portage, even though the organization has been in Battle Creek. By the way, you guys, Michigan is one of the few states in the United States that has multiple Scientology organizations. I'm aware of one in Ann Arbor and Battle Creek and Detroit. So that's 3. Even in the great large state of Florida, you'd be surprised how few organizations there are. Organizations, at least what we call class 5 organizations, where the mainline large organizations where you're supposed to join Scientology. We have Tampa, we have Orlando. I should stop saying we. There is we in Florida have a Scientology organization in Tampa, in Orlando, and in Miami. That's it. That's it. Not even Jacksonville, not even Tallahassee. And there's not even multiple organizations in Tampa, Orlando, or Miami, right? You'd be shocked how few Scientology organizations there are. There's only about 134 organizations in the entire world. Maybe half of those are in the US, and half of the states in the US don't even have a single Scientology organization. I got off on a bit of a tangent there. So the Battle Creek org has been there in Battle Creek forever. Why didn't they get a proclamation passed in Battle Creek? I don't know. Maybe it's because the Scientology organization is right there. And it's almost like the city where the Scientology org is that's more likely to be where Scientology is most known and most hated. So like Clearwater, Florida, we have a giant Scientology organization called Flag. It's the biggest Scientology org in the world, but you can't join Scientology in Clearwater, Florida. That's why I didn't include Flag. But I'll tell you what, Scientology is hated in Clearwater, Florida, more than anywhere else in the world. Guys, we have a relatively small city, about 120,000 people live here. A Scientologist has never once been elected to the Clearwater City Council. And yet an anti-Scientologist has been elected to the Clearwater City Council. That's Mark Bunker. So, it's almost like Scientology is a huge fish in a little pond here. And yet Scientology is more hated here than anywhere else. I suspect that is the reason they went over to Portage instead of Battle Creek. But that's just my opinion. One of the things, a note from one of the speakers, God, that one speaker who said that Scientology is viewed as a threat to community mental health. What an amazing statement. What a strong statement. Let's see. Oh, Cheryl, the speaker who said, Dianetics actually denies the existence of mental illness. That reminded me, this is one of the tricks that Scientology likes to play. And I'm reminded of when Tom Cruise went on with Matt Lauer. And, the famous Matt Lauer interview. Matt, you're glib, Matt. You're glib, Matt. You don't even know what Ritalin is. So Scientology lies about what they really believe, and they will publicly champion and bandwagon select issues that they believe will get broad agreement and will cause people to think that Scientologists know what they're talking about when Scientologists aren't being honest about what they actually believe. So with Tom Cruise, for example, he gets on TV and he protests against the over-prescription of medication or the over-medication of kids. He knows that is going to get broad public agreement because that's an issue. And it's an issue that a lot of people other than Scientologists care about. It's just that is not what Scientologists care about. Scientologists aren't just objecting to the over-medication of kids or the over-medication of anybody. Scientologists believe that the only appropriate treatment for any mental health problem of any kind whatsoever is only Dianetics and Scientology, and that anything else is actually destructive. They don't believe in seeing a counselor, a therapist, any sort of talk therapy of any kind whatsoever. They don't believe in any type of medication of any kind whatsoever for mental illness purposes, period. But Tom Cruise won't say that because then people will go, oh, okay, this guy's a kook. Oh, okay, he's against the over-medication of kids, but what that really means is the reason he's against that is because he's against all medication of anyone, anywhere, and that the only thing anyone should do is Dianetics and Scientology. And so, anyway, I thought that was I was just reminded of all that when she pointed out that Dianetics denies the existence of mental illness. Well, isn't that interesting that a book called Dianetics, The Modern Science of Mental Health, actually denies the existence of mental illness? It's a weird contradiction there, right? And the way that works out is, L. Ron Hubbard is saying that what he's talking about in Dianetics, he talks about engrams, he talks about the reactive mind. What he's basically saying is what I'm writing in this book, what I'm writing about the reactive mind and engrams is literally the one sole cause of all mental illness and all psychosomatic physical illness of any kind whatsoever. And this is the only treatment. And with this treatment, all other treatments become completely irrelevant, if not abusive. And so that's interesting, right? That is interesting how you have that weird contradiction. Okay, let's see what else. By the way, Jordan Horn, Mr. Jordan Horn, you knocked it out of the park there. If you are out there and if you would like to have a chat with me on my channel about your experience, how you came to learn of Dianetics, what you know about it, and to share more with me on your opinions about how it is a threat to community mental health, please hit me up at growingupinscientology@gmail.com. And, the fact that Jordan Horn also pointed out that this is not a religious textbook. Scientology should not be able to hide behind the fact of, well, we can say whatever we want because it's our belief system. Because the name of the book is The Modern Science of Mental Health. So, Jeff Breedlove, Director of External Affairs, the journalist who wrote this article should contact Jeff Breedlove. Let me see. Let me see if there's a name on this article. That's the wrong article. That's the wrong article. This is all the wrong article. Scrolling up. Duncan McLean. Duncan McLean in Portage, Michigan. Please get in touch with Jeff Breedlove, Director of External Affairs, Church of Scientology, Battle Creek, and ask him, is Dianetics part of your religious scripture? I'm dying to know how Jeff Breedlove would answer that question. This whole idea of Scientology trying to bifurcate the parts of Scientology that are faith and scripture and unalterable and the parts that are somehow a science, this has gotten Scientology into a lot of trouble. In the interview that I did recently with cult expert Rick Ross, he pointed out that he was involved as an expert witness in a lawsuit relating to Scientology's drug rehab program, Narconon. And there was a school system that had basically approved a Narconon representative to come in and treat some sort of drug education. By the way, everything I'm sharing with you right now is only as good as my memory. This is how I remember it. And as a part of this approval process, they basically asked for some guarantees that this was not a religious program. This was not a Scientology-based, faith-based program. This was science-based. This was evidence-based. And Narconon assured them that it was. So then Narconon comes into the school district and they start teaching the idea that all the drugs and the toxins that you encounter in society and that you ingest in your body are stored permanently in the fatty tissues of your cell. And so then, you know, the authorities or whatever, the bureaucrats in the school system was like, hey, you can't, this is debunked. That is pseudoscience. You can't teach that here. And they go, oh, well, that's what we believe. And they go, what do you mean that's what you believe? Is this a faith-based system or is this a science evidence-based system? And all of a sudden, Scientology's lies started smacking them right in the face and they got kicked out of the school district because they act like it's science when really it's all faith-based. If L. Ron Hubbard said it, therefore it is true. It's not something that can be debunked. It's not something that can be disproven through clinical trials. It doesn't matter if some study comes out disproving it. Scientologists will go, yeah, but L. Ron Hubbard's the one who knows what he's talking about. It's the scientists and the doctors and the clinicians who don't know what they're talking about. Right here, we have that basically that exact same thing. In Dianetics, is Scientology claiming to be dealing with a faith-based procedure, or are they still claiming to be dealing with science? Sounds like Don McLean has Duncan McLean has some interesting questions. He might be able to get Scientology to answer over there in Battle Creek. Okay, let's see. Oh, interesting. You know, the other claim that was made, I think it was by Jordan, is that in the scientific realm, whenever you have someone making a claim that there is a single source for everything, you know, like in Dianetics' case, the reactive mind is the single source of all mental illness and psychosomatic illness. He goes, this is a huge red flag for pseudoscience. It's funny when he says that, it kind of like triggers the cult programming that I had for so long, because one of the primary principles in Scientology, no matter what you're talking about, administratively, organizationally, is you are always looking for the one single cause and the one single person who's making everything go wrong. They call it the why. You're looking for the why and the who. And the why is the single thing that when you isolate it, it opens the door to a handling with existing resources. And that is like what he said sort of made me go, oh my God, the entire way we were trained to think in Scientology was like literally the epitome, the essence of pseudoscience, that there's one cause of everything. And it also kind of reminded me of the fact, I've said this a bunch of times, but it's worth repeating. When I came out of Scientology, I did not understand the concept of civil liberties. In fact, I was against the idea of civil liberties because L. Ron Hubbard had said all the time, the protections are there for criminals. Only a criminal would object to being investigated. In other words, so you have a protection from unreasonable search and seizure. L. Ron Hubbard would say only a criminal would be worried about unreasonable search and seizure. Only a criminal would be object to stop and frisk, for example. If you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to worry about. Oh my God. That is like the slogan of an abusive, tyrannical government. If you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to worry about. And it took a lot of sort of like, I call it deprogramming, but I'm using the word casually. It took a lot of years of deprogramming for me to understand the purpose and the reason for civil liberties, and how we as Scientologists were brainwashed into believing the exact opposite, that everyone at the top was motivated purely by good intentions and sincere desires to help. And the idea that you would need to be protected from the people at the top, what? That would get you in trouble to even imply such a thing. And as Sea Org members, we were expected to be totally okay with having our bedrooms searched every single day without our consent, without our presence, without our cooperation, and having anything that was considered contraband seized. And that includes books, DVDs, computers, maybe certain music, certainly any adult-related material, that goes without saying. And anyway, it's just another example of how, the cult programming kind of takes everything in so many ways, takes so many things of the right way to think about things and just turns it completely on its head. All right, let's see. Okay, let's go over some starred comments and we'll wrap this one up. It is absolutely storming out here. So if I lose power, I'm going to lose my internet. So hopefully we can get through this. Jojo says, if anyone hasn't seen the protest stream from Friday, I urge you to. It's absolutely hilarious. Thank you, Jojo. Judy, you got this, says there's a Portage, Wisconsin too. I was confused for a bit. Carrie J says, don't any of these town councils do any sort of vetting when these requests come in? Maybe I can get them to declare the third Wednesday in May as Carrie J Day. I bet you could. Love Maddie, it would be great if every town if every town or city this happens. I'm sorry. It would be great if every town or city this happens at, that mental health professionals and locals who know about the Scientology practices come to them and speak up like they did here. Absolutely. C.O. Bilf, the proclamation is off source. Miss Tabernac, it's my birthday today. Can I ask my city for a proclamation? Happy birthday, Miss Tabernac. And yeah, maybe we should all try to get our birthdays celebrated as our day. I mean, after all, guys, it's content neutral. Ricky Glazer, good to see you, buddy. Mary James, hey all, I'm glad to see your take on this, Aaron. Thank you very much. Preston Koenig, Portage, Michigan. I live in Portage. I hope this is a joke and that Scientology is not considering invading my town. I will totally protest. Preston, that's incredible. You happen to live in Portage, Michigan? That is truly incredible. Now, don't worry. You're not in any danger of having a new Scientology location open up in your city. Scientology hasn't opened a new organization in almost 20 years. Scientology is shrinking faster than ever before. You are marked safe from a Scientology invasion. But what you might do is jump over 20 miles, whichever direction Battle Creek is from you, and ask them. Maybe you can try to reach out to Jeff Breedlove, Director of External Affairs, and ask them, good sir, is Dianetics a scientific book or is it religious scripture? And see if you get an answer. And if you get an answer, forward it to me at growingupinscientology@gmail.com. Anna from Canada, this is a great video. Community members speaking out against Scientology. Wise Mama, it's like deja vu. Last year in DeLand, Florida, with Clearwater George. And DeLand is 45 minutes from the Orlando org and very small in comparison. That's right. I think DeLand and also in Deltona, if I'm not mistaken, something similar happened. Preston Koenig, I will totally be protesting that place live streamed. Preston, if you do and you have a channel, send me a link to it at growingupinscientology@gmail.com and I'll give you a little boost. Magnus G, great ideas and solutions, of which none can be found in Scientology. December says, this guy did a great job laying out his argument against. He had all the facts. C.O. Bilf, shout out to this psych. I'm sure Battle Creek Org is going to put his picture on a ridiculous corkboard somewhere. I know, right? Max's mom, someone needs to make the L. Ron Hubbard Foundation for saving Scientologists. Cheeky from Alberta, Dianetics, the pseudo-science of mental dissonance. Love Maddie, the local gal who spoke up and said she'd heard about this a couple hours before and went all over her neighborhood to let them know. But how did you find out ahead of time that Scientology is going to do this? Oh, but how do you find out ahead of time? You have to look on the agenda. Like people who are really, really paying attention to city council issues are the ones who end up knowing what's going to be happening in the meetings. I remember the first time here in Clearwater, Florida, where I started to become aware of things that the city was doing with Scientology. And I started showing up to city council meetings. And I remember the outrage that I felt, feeling like, oh my God, this is all happening and nobody even knows. But you know why nobody knows? Because nobody pays a damn bit of attention to local politics. Almost nobody. Even though local politics affects your life more than state politics, more than national politics. It is so hard to get people to pay attention to local politics. And the truth is, the city council websites and the agendas and the calendars and the meetings, all the information that is supposed to be there is there for people who care to find it. And so, yeah, I recognized and understood her outrage. I felt a similar outrage the first time I started to pay attention. I was like, how come nobody knows about this? The people who are paying attention are the ones who know about it. And the people who don't pay attention, it's hard to even force them to care about such things. Okay, Herschel says, if Charlie Manson says Scientology is crazy, then you know it is. Lauren T, I'm sure the Portage politicians are thinking, holy crap, what a can of worms we opened. Julia O'Connell, my neighbors need better than this. They are bipolar. It is so sad that Scientology gets away with this crap. Lauren T, rather than declaring a Dianetics Day, wouldn't this guy be better off just starting a book club? Debbie with an I. I'm a little over an hour from Portage, and this happened on my birthday. Michigan, do better. Lauren T, hey, can we request an SPTV Foundation Proclamation Day in Portage, Michigan? Maybe we should try to do that. R.M. Blake, I have friends that live in Portage, Battle Creek, Kalamazoo area. I'm going to see if they know about this and also express their displeasure. Fantastic. I used to work in the area decades ago. I'm shocked that something like this would be done there. Eunice Swag Pants. I would guess that content neutral to them means we're recognizing the existence of the work, not what the content and context of the work is. Debbie with an I, welcome as a new channel member. Bumpy Johnson, Scientology is dying when Grant Cardone represents their new generation of celebrity. Gabrielle, escaping the cultiverse. They promote the propaganda at the big events and dupe the Kool-Aid drinkers into how popular and accepted Scientology is all over the world. I bought the BS too. Up Mayo, they couldn't have sent a worse representative of someone whose life was enriched by the reading of Dianetics. Yeah, I know. Jeff Breedlove is not impressing anybody. Gabrielle says, I've never heard of these proclamations in any Canadian province. Fantastic. Julia says he was the worst representative for same playing catch up. Both versions of the proclamation are on the Wood TV website news article. Okay, good. I'll have to take another look at it. Anna says Scientology exploits people that are looking for help. It shows their cruelty. Yes. That's what she said. Says LRH was a fiction author. Scientologists should wrap their brain around that. Kate Delight, we need an SPTV day then. Tina and the last 20, content neutral equals we didn't do our due diligence. And the last one, from this I know, if 2020 taught us anything, it should be how important local politics are. Absolutely, guys. All right, that is it for me for today. Hope you guys are all having a fantastic Sunday. Thank you for hanging out with me. Thank you, as always, to everyone who watches until the very end. And I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, if you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, then you could click right inside here. If you have subscribed or not,